here has heard of stacks before? Who's heard of stacks? Okay.
Perfect.
That's good. It's about half and half. Who's heard of Bitcoin? All right. Okay. Who wants to get more Bitcoin? All right. Well, we got a solution for you.
Yeah. This is going to be the most alpha panel you're going to hear all day. So we're also sitting in between you and lunch. So pay attention. We're going to wrap up, have some fun. But yeah, everybody, thank you so much for joining today. Brittany, let's do a quick introduction. Talk to us a little bit about your history, your background, how you got into the space, and I'll do the same.
Yeah, sure. So, I feel like I'm a little OG, but I'm still learning. I got into crypto in 2014. I was an investor at Union Square Ventures. Our first bet on the space was this company called Coinbase. It seemed like these just two guys had this idea about like Bitcoin tech. Like at the time, there wasn't even blockchains. It was just Bitcoin tech. So started investing, continued on the venture side, investing in Web3. Back then, again, Bitcoin tech to blockchain to crypto, participated in ICOs, the whole gamut. But I'm so excited because we actually are seeing things being built. And my goal was actually to be on the builder side. So after spending about 6 years investing, I left to go full-time into Stacks. I actually saw this project when it got started in 2014. And the idea was, what can you do with a blockchain that isn't finance? Which kind of comes full circle, that we'll be talking about why Stacks actually enables finance now. But yeah, really helping this project come to life, get in the hands of builders. Stacks is one of the only US SEC qualified token offerings. So we actually went the regulatory route. So normal small-time holders could purchase the token in a compliant and legal way. You don't have to be outside of the United States. You can actually purchase in the early token sale in that way. So we went through that whole process. So we've been maybe a little slower, even though we've been around for a long time, but it's very accessible. And today we have Stacks 2.0 that launched earlier this year, and that is giving more functionality to Bitcoin. So right now you can do very little on Bitcoin, and the belief around Stacks was, how can you actually bring more functionality? You don't have to replicate proof of work. Instead, you could build right on top of the Bitcoin chain with the Stacks chain, use all of the smart contract processing on the Stacks chain, but fundamentally everything settles on Bitcoin. So it's all tied back. And there's an added benefit where you can actually earn Bitcoin for participating in the Stacks network because of the way it's set up. So yeah, just been working on building that, and I do that now at the Stacks Foundation, which is the nonprofit arm. Our goal is to put the $250 million of our treasury to work behind builders. So giving away free money for people to build stuff. So it's an awesome job.
It sounds like an awesome job. And I want to take a step back in time for a little bit. This decade is just over, this industry is just over a decade old. And you talk a lot about building, you want to be on the builder side. Talk to us about how we got here and some of the things that have been developed. You look back at 2008, 2009, no one could have predicted where we are with this industry as it is today, or even where we're going in the next few years. But talk to us on the building side, what you've seen and how everything has evolved over this last decade.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah, well, I think, I don't think Satoshi knew that we'd all be sitting here scanning QR codes on sneakers in a hotel conference in Miami. I think it was just he built something that he wanted to test and experiment with and put it out there. And, the struggle with crypto has always been well, what is it going to look like? What's that future that we can imagine? And I think it's really hard to figure it out, because I think the requirement is who shows up to build. Satoshi showed up and built Bitcoin. And we saw Ethereum come on, hey, let's do more functionality. Then with Stacks, they're hey, let's just reuse proof of work. Let's try something new and experiment in there. And all of these layer 1 protocols have been developed. And now, no matter what you're building, there's tools out there to achieve whatever dream it is. But it really depends on a person kind of raising their hand and be hey, I'm going to just try and build this thing and see if it works and see if it's possible. So that's kind of comforting to me, because people are always well, what does it look like? Is it going to look like this VR headset, metaverse, 3D glasses, or is it going to be something totally different? And I don't even think a year ago we could have anticipated that crypto would look like it does today. With NFTs, us being here at Art Basel, celebrating artists as part of the crypto community, I think that we couldn't have anticipated that happening. So the kind of future really depends on the people in this room, the people at this conference who are going to make whatever we're going to talk about next year. And it's great because I get a front row seat at the foundation. And we've seen things like DeFi and NFTs and even exciting things like civic engagement. If you've heard of Miami Coin, if you're a resident of Miami, there's a project that built on Stacks. They're using those Bitcoin earnings that they get as native functionality to the Stacks, and they're pulling that into a wallet for the city. So I think it's about $29 million has been amount that has been amassed through mining for the city of Miami that they are going to put to work for citizens of Miami. And that's like really cool. That's like real dollars. Those are real Bitcoin sitting in the wallet. The mayor has the keys. He has access to determine where that money's going to go. So I think just like taking that mindset of like, oh, well, governments are going to be involved in crypto, that took some vision to kind of make that happen.
Yeah.
And it's here.
And it's here, and we also are seeing that expand to other cities as well, right? So can you talk to us a little bit more about the impact that something like City Coins could have at that civic and government level as we expand now to NYC, which has about $20+ million locked away in it as well. We also have rumors of Austin out on the interwebs and potentially other cities as well. So what does this look like?
Yeah, so, well, one thing is like these city coins were developed by the community. So the first one was Miami Coin. You know, the city of Miami, they were receptive to it. There was a community of people who built it. So these aren't people who are building necessarily the technology. These are people who are civic minded and they're like, great, let's gather people. Let's look at the problems in the city. Let's find a way to work with the mayor. So no matter what your skill set is, it could apply to these really important crypto projects. But with the city of Miami, it did so well. I think it's not even 6 months old, I believe, and they've amassed this like $30 million pool, and more Bitcoin is going in there every day. With New York City, that launched maybe a month ago, and they're already close to the $30 million mark as well. And that just took people sort of voting and saying, hey, we want this in our city. And Austin it's the same. People who want to bet on Austin, they live in Austin, or they just believe in Austin as a city. I think San Francisco wants to come online. So it's really about a small group of people coming together with a vision and just trying to work towards it.
Yeah, and speaking of that, let's talk about DeFi, decentralized finance. We take a step back in time as well. You know, May 2020, we were just about to cross over $1 billion in total value locked throughout all DeFi protocols. Fast forward about a year and a half later, we're pushing over $100 billion and growing. Stacks is not yet included in that, and this is a new feature, and new tools are coming. Talk to us a little bit about what you see as DeFi starts to enter the world on top of Bitcoin and Stacks.
Yeah, well, people were like, hey, there's a lot of value in these networks. How do I use it? Like normal finance, like they want loans, they want to lend, they want to earn. And I think in some ways, Bitcoin's been a little bit left behind. You know, you can buy sort of like wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum, but that's not native to Bitcoin. So in Ethereum, we've seen all these primitives come. DeFi has exploded. There's all these ways that you can leverage yield and different tokens there. But I think Bitcoin doesn't have that smart contract functionality. Right. So in comes Stacks 2.0 that launched in January of this year, and that enables people to natively do DeFi related to Bitcoin using Stacks smart contracts. Mm-hmm. And so we've seen just recently a lot of projects that have gone through testing, they've gone through auditing, and they've just recently launched. One of those is Arcadico. Yep. So they're like, okay, you have a lot of value locked on Bitcoin. What do you need? A stable coin. What can you do with a stable coin? You can do lending. So you can actually earn Deco tokens. You can get USDA. All of that is native to the Stacks chain. So something that you've seen in Ethereum is now tied back to the Bitcoin chain through Stacks. And that is just the first. And that was, it's been live maybe about 2 months. Yep. And I think they have $60 million total value locked already in Arcadico. And then there's another company launching called Alex. They're also thinking about what happens when you can take all your Bitcoin holdings. You don't have to liquidate your Bitcoin. You don't have to trust a central authority to custody them, but you can actually do lending or borrowing on top of that. So that kind of native functionality, we've seen in other chains. I think we're seeing it on Stacks in a very exciting way.
Very exciting. And these are just the early days, as you said. I mean, Stacks 2.0 launched January, February earlier this year. Here we are at the end of 2021. We're now looking looking ahead very quickly, less than 30 days quickly into 2022. And as DeFi progressed, I mean, we had DeFi summer in 2020, NFT summer or year this year. As we look at how finance or decentralized finance mechanisms can play a role in other industries, what else are you seeing that could come to Stacks or onto Bitcoin in terms of industries, whether it's gaming or other things that you guys might be thinking about?
Yeah, well, I think you kind of mentioned it. It's like gaming, there's, play to earn is this really exciting category. We're seeing more and more gamers just say, like, why, that value that you're creating in the game, like, why can't that be used outside of the game? And I think that that could mean returns, that could be upgrading your assets, it could be a number of different things. Or it could even be this, like, mixed model of, like, play to give. So, if you're earning yields, like maybe 10% goes to a cause you care about, or that goes to the game developers. It's thinking about it when there's so much yield that you can actually just share it around and actually improve things together. I think is really exciting. NFTs. So if you're interested in minting Stacks, NFTs, someone had mentioned gas fees. I think it's like around $1 to mint on Stacks. It's very reasonable. So artists who want to have access and they don't want to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars to get their collections out to customers can do that. And those are ultimately settled on the Bitcoin chain. So as long as the Bitcoin chain is around, it will forever be held in a Stacks transaction into that chain. So you can see it, where it's owned. I think that that's really exciting. So exciting, in fact, actually, there's a big project on Ethereum, an NFT project called Satoshables. It's built a bridge so that you can actually bridge all your NFTs back to the Bitcoin chain using Stacks. And so actually when you do that, when you cross the bridge with your NFT, it actually changes the NFT. So we'll have like a special Bitcoin sort of sticker on it. So I think, we live in this multi-chain world, and I think you'll see a lot of functionality between. But as a builder, you're gonna wanna go where there's a lot of support for what you're doing. You wanna make sure you can make a market. And if you're not selling NFTs for hundreds of thousands of dollars, people probably aren't willing to spend $1,000 on gas fees. Right. So making it more affordable, making it fast, making it easy, I think we're just seeing a lot of excitement there. So I'm really, excited about the whole category growing. I love to see it on Stacks, but I think, no matter where it starts, it could end up in any of the chains. Yeah,
and it's exciting. I'm also looking and excited about mobility, transportation. How do we bring this type of technology and financial mechanisms into our everyday lives outside of gaming and metaverses that are big buzzwords we're all hearing about today and otherwise as well. So you mentioned tools, you mentioned building. Talk to us a little bit about how do we get started in all of this, because we've got bridges coming, we've got all these different opportunities, but where do we begin if we're excited about building and getting started?
Yeah, so this again goes back to the fun job of the foundation. We give money to builders. When I was a VC, you had to have this really huge plan. How are you gonna have a $100 million business in order to get any funding? You had to spend a lot of time pitching. There was just a lot of effort, and that restricted a lot of builders from creating anything. So with the foundation, we give grants as small as like $1,000. So if you have an idea you wanna try out, our application, it's in GitHub. You can see all prior applications. We check applications, every week right now. We're getting more, so maybe it'll be every other week. But with that, you can just start small. Present that idea to the community. It could be maybe just a new smart contract that didn't exist on Stacks as a way to build. And then, those grants go up to $100,000. So if you're just in the ideation, build, test, or contribute to the community, Stacks grants are the way to go. But we also have another program that recently launched called the Residence Program. And this is for long-term projects, about a year long, where you want to build something for the community. Maybe it isn't going to be a business. Maybe it's something that's longer than just a short project. You can actually get funding for a full year to spend time working on that. And we have some great residents who are working on things like governance and making it easier to mint NFTs that actually earn yield. So by holding the NFT, you earn yield. There's some really cool experiments in there. And so we're excited to fund people in that longer term commitment too. And then the third thing is the Stacks Accelerator. So if you are looking to build a business in this space, there's actually funding where you can go through an accelerator program. You can build a project there. I'll let you expand a little more because you work on that side of the business. And And so like that's another way. And then we have a really exciting announcement coming this week. If you're working on NFTs, we're actually also launching the resources to support NFT builders. So if you're an artist, you don't know where to get started, but you have an idea or you have assets that you want to put online, whether it's music or film or art or 3D renderings, we have an accelerator that's going to help just educate you, because that's our goal. Is like, can we educate people? Can we give them the resources they need to really unleash what this future looks like? And it's just a matter of ideas. Like, I get to see all these cool ideas coming in, and I feel like 90% of them were like, yes, yes, yes. If you're just trying to like shill like a scam coin, we're gonna give you a hard no. But if you're really looking to build something that people can use, like, it's there for the taking. So if any of you have an idea of something you want to build, like, come check out our grants program, stacks.org. That will give you a link to our GitHub. You can look around and see what's there. But there's a lot of excitement.
There is, and as you on the foundation are willing to fund these on the grant side, I on the venture side and the fund and accelerator side, I'm willing to fund these as well. So if you've got a good idea, you're building something, you're looking to build Bitcoin, or excuse me, a DeFi on Bitcoin or something otherwise, I've got a checkbook with me and happy to start writing checks. So definitely reach out afterwards. But
yeah.
I want to come back to NFTs.
Okay. Well, real quick, I just want to give one story actually, because one of the projects that I mentioned, Arcadico, they had this idea like, what if you could have a loan that repays itself? Think of like student loan debt or credit card debt or anything. Like, well, if you already can earn yield over here in DeFi and you can borrow over here, like, why can't you put those together? And so they make it really easy to have a self-repaying loan. They started off as a grantee. They, got involved in the community. They said, we have this idea. They started working on it. They applied to the Accelerator. They went through the first Accelerator class. They got a lot of support through that. They then went on to raise multiple millions of dollars from venture capitalists to build it out even further. And then they launched, and they have the 60 million on their platform. And that's basically within the last 6 months, I think. Yeah. So it's like, okay, if you need a ramp and you have something good, it's happening. So we've tried to just, any tool that you need along the way, we've tried to fund that on the ecosystem. Like the Stacks Accelerator is separate from the foundation, but we helped fund that early on because we knew that would be another gateway to like on-ramp people into building.
Absolutely. I mean, speaking of that ramp, I'll selfishly plug Moonray, which is a gaming company that we funded in October as well. And here we are in December, and it's one of the leading games. We've got a huge NFT launch that's coming up on it as well. So within a matter of a few months, I mean, this is transforming gaming on Stacks and on Bitcoin as well. Very exciting in terms of what's happening. But going back to NFTs, you've got this big launch. We're excited about it. Talk to us maybe what you're seeing around the financial aspect that comes with NFTs, going beyond art and going beyond maybe collectibles as well.
Yeah. Well, maybe I should explain actually some of the stacking functionality. People who know Stacks, do you know stacking? Okay, so the basics of stacking are if you have Stacks tokens, you can lock them for a 2-week cycle. So you just you hold them in your wallet, but you lock them in a smart contract so you can't move them. And by doing that, you can actually earn Bitcoin. Right now, it's about a 10% APY in Bitcoin. So just by holding your tokens for 2 weeks, you get trickles of Bitcoin coming into your account. So what's great about that is that if you have anything you're building on Stacks, you can use that underlying primitive. So it's like, what if you hold a Stacks NFT that you lock up for 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years, and you just earn Bitcoin along the way? That makes it a really interesting NFT, because if it is earning income or interest on the NFT, maybe you sell it to someone else and then they get that income stream. Like, there's different ways to think about an NFT more than like the only value you're going to get out of it is when you like buy and sell. And I think that also opens up things like lending. Yeah. When you have an NFT that's valuable and it's income generating, maybe you can lend against it. You can kind of think of like a house. You could have a house and live in it and sell it if it appreciates, or you could own a house and rent it and be having that reoccurring revenue, or you could take a loan against it. So I think that those primitives make it really easy to think about how we think about value in the real world to value in the digital world. That makes it very transferable. It's very easy. You don't have to live in a really hot city in order to have access to these things. Like even Miami Coin, you can own Miami Coin and you don't live in Miami, but if you're betting on this city, you can kind of participate. But I think that that's just scratching the surface of what's possible with NFTs. Like, we are early days. Like, good morning NFTs. It is, daybreak. It's like we've barely seen what is possible there. But I think it is really exciting because NFTs to just create this like community bond. Like, if you have that NFT, you can, as a collective group, decide what you do with it and how you can build sort of the future on whatever like idea that you have. Like, actually last night at dinner, we were talking about the public school system in Miami. I think it's around 50% of students in public schools get a free or subsidized lunch. It's a very huge program. The schools are underfunded. And so this builder was talking about, hey, we want to create NFT assets for the students that earn yield over time. And as they go through their school, some of that money goes back to pay for some of their school supplies, and some of it they earn that yield. So when they graduate, they will actually get to take that to help them get their first job or help them pay for college or go through it. So they're really thinking about this long horizon, these fungible assets, but ways that people could either put money into those ecosystems or they can use it to fund the future while teaching these students about what is Web3, why is it important, why is value important, what's yield, and how do you use it to your advantage so that if you're waiting and patient over time, you can kind of put it to good work. So like something like that goes far beyond just this digital metaverse, 3D cartoons. It's actually like real value, and I think we're going to see that launched in the coming months. So I have no idea what the future looks like. I hope you guys have some really bold ideas because I think we can get there. There's plenty of capital. There's plenty of interest. It's just limited by what people imagine is possible with these. Absolutely. And real quick, as we come to wrap up, shout out, where can everyone find you, find the foundation, get involved as well, and then I'll close us out. Yeah, sure. So Stacks.org is our foundation. Stacks.org is our Twitter handle. My Twitter handle, I'm Brittany, but there's no I, it's _. If you follow Stacks.org, you can find me from there. Of course, we have a Discord, we have Twitter, we have Telegram, we have all these different channels. But I think our community is so great. So if you see people tweeting about Stacks, or if you see people with the .btc name, I know you see these like on Twitter, the .eth, the ENS names. There's also BNS names, which was built on Stacks. So you can go claim your Bitcoin address and use that. It's a really easy way to get your wallet and everything like that. So I would highly encourage you to like get involved in that way. Because like if you believe in Bitcoin, I think you have to believe that there's more to it than just HODL. And so that's what we believe. And so we're really excited that Stacks enables people to earn Bitcoin. So holding Stacks, earning Bitcoin, that's totally unique to us, but also just giving people new tools they can play with in like interesting, fun ways. Absolutely. And then speaking of those tools, if you're looking to build, as Brittany said, I do run our Accelerator and fund, looking to fund projects, decentralized applications or dApps otherwise that are building in this space, either directly or through our Accelerator program as well. So definitely reach out either at Stacks Startups, very easy, or Kyle Ellicott. Find me somewhere on the social interwebs, or again, follow Stacks, and you can find both of us very quickly. And again, definitely reach out to Brittany and to the foundation to connect. Reach out to me if you're looking to get funded and building anything in this space otherwise. And a big thank you, Brittany, for giving us a preview. Aren't applications open? Oh, yes. Oh, shameless. I appreciate it. Yes, applications are open on the Accelerator side. We just opened them today as well. My partner, Trevor, just did an AMA talking a little bit about the program this morning as well. So if you want to apply in person, you've got me for the next 60 minutes. Yeah. So give me your best pitch. And the NFT Accelerator as well. It's minting soon. So follow Stacks.org, Twitter, and you can and learn more about that, because I think it's this really amazing program, great artists involved, and just like excited to see what comes out of that. Yeah. Absolutely. As you can see, we got a lot going on. Brittany, big thank you for previewing what decentralized finance on Bitcoin will look like and is looking like today at Four and Stacks as well. Big appreciation. Thank you very much, DeCentral as well, and we'll turn it back over to you. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you.